In my world, clear communication is key. My JBL has crystal clear sound and noise cancellation. Whether I'm in a meeting or catching up with emails, I never miss a beat.
This is the newsroom.
This is the newsroom for today, Friday, March 7th, 2025. We are broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, the International Court of Justice acknowledges Guyana's request for provisional measures in the border controversy with Venezuela. Jagdeo says the government will put the country's financial systems at risk if it does business with the Mohameds. In tonight's feature, GUYSOL lights the way for women in renewable energy.
We're trying as much as possible to see if we can also link these 50 women to jobs within their region so that they can be able to practice what has been taught for the 5 weeks.
And in sport, best of the best to compete at National Schools Championship and concerted effort being made to uplift youth cricket in Essequibo. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We started by telling you that on Thursday, Guyana filed a request for provisional measures at the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, in response to Venezuela's plans to hold elections in the Essequibo region on May 25, 2025. Guyana argues that Venezuela's actions would violate its sovereignty and territorial integrity, contravening a previous ICJ order from December 2023 to preserve the status quo in the region. Guyana seeks urgent intervention to prevent Venezuela from conducting any electoral activities, including distributing materials, appointing officials, or making any territorial claims within the disputed area. The controversy dates back to the 1899 Arbitral Award, which established the boundary between British Guyana, now Guyana, and Venezuela. Despite Venezuela's refusal to participate in some proceedings, the ICJ affirmed its jurisdiction over the case in 2020. Guyana's new request highlights the ongoing tensions and seeks to prevent any actions that could exacerbate the territorial dispute before a final resolution. Now, Vice President Dr. Jagdeo said the country would be at risk if it continued to do any business with the Mohammeds because of the sanctions handed down on the family and their businesses by the United States Department of the Treasury. As such, Jagdeo said, all business ties have to be severed.
I think it should be done at the ministry's level. So wherever the child is born, all you do, get a birth certificate and go in. And we'll try to do it as quickly as possible because people may need that help in the first month, to buy things for the baby and stuff like that. So we should try to get it done quickly, like in real time after this period, right? Because the budget was passed even after people became eligible, because it was from 4th of January. So I'm going to press them to try to get it in real time. So like the baby is born the next day, or so the parents can get it because it would help them.
Now, as the world marks International Women's Day, GUYSOL is turning the spotlight on its groundbreaking initiatives designed to empower women in the technical fields, particularly within the renewable energy sector. Through a series of transformative projects, GUYSOL is not only advancing its solar farm development, but also paving the way for the economic independence of women in underrepresented regions. In an exclusive interview with Chitra Singh Samaru, GUYSOL's social management specialist, we delve deeper into the company's developmental initiatives and the remarkable impact they are having on women in regions 2, 5, and 10.
Now I'm sure the public knows about GUYSOL's solar farm project that we are implementing in regions 2, 5, 6, and 10. We're building 8 solar farms, and we're trying to eject by 2026 33 megawatts of renewable energy into the grid. We have launched our solar job workforce component. Basically what this means is that we are trying to get 50 women in total from our project regions, that is regions 2, 5, 6, and 10. And we want to have a 5 weeks training, particularly focusing on technical skills that is related to electrical engineering and more so about solar PV installation. And I should mention that we're going to give each of these women a study stipend for that 5 weeks that they're going to be with us alongside doing the training. And immediately after that, what we want to do is not just give them this training, but to give them an opportunity to practice the technical and the occupational skills that they have been sensitized about in the 5 weeks. So we're trying as much as possible to see if we can also link these 50 women to jobs within their region so that they can be able to practice what has been taught for the 5 weeks. And we are also paying for that 8 months apprenticeship program. And it doesn't stop there. It also, in addition to that, while we finish the training and then we're going to onboard them onto the 8 months apprenticeship program, we also want to keep the studies ongoing, where we're going to link them to a digital portal. And these 50 women are still going to be with their instructors from the 5 weeks. Women are underrepresented in technical fields because they're minimal or no participation in technical fields. What the GUYSOL initiative, and I should say funded by the Norway-Guyana agreement and administered by the Inter-American Development Bank does, is that they are trying to empower these women, not just empower them, but for them to consider possible jobs in technical fields where of course there's much more economic independence. We've started our second batch, and I should say the second batch of energy apprentices that basically is coming on board with us, working with us as the core team of GUYSOL, and they're shadowing us, basically learning what we do, why we do what we do, and of course they have the opportunity to be with us for approximately 1 year and learn hands-on experience more about the energy sector and the renewable energy sector. So last year we've concluded our batch. We've had 6 male, 1 identified as a person with disability, and this year, the 3rd of March, we launched our second batch, which is an exclusively female. So we have 5 women onboarded, 2 are identified as person with disability, and basically these 5 women will be with us and shadowing us in those areas that I mentioned, with an intention for them to build experience and contribute further in their career advancement. I should mention that it's such a positive coincidence that everything has launched in a period where we're commemorating the contributions of women. So I guess I think it's fitting for me on behalf of all my stakeholders, and when I say that, the Norway entity, the Inter-American Development Bank, GPL, and more so GUYSOL, to extend to the general public Happy International Women's Day. I should say the contributions of women for who we are, what we do, and the good that we contribute towards, in addition to alongside our male counterparts. It's quite remarkable. So Happy International Women's Day.
We tell you now that to tackle the upsurge of femicide in Guyana, the Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, said authorities are focused on creating a modern and progressive framework. To this end, she said 2 pieces of legislation, the Family Violence Act and the Sexual Offences Act, are new legal remedies. When combined, they bring both criminal and civil solutions. But in addition, there is also the Hope and Justice Centers, which provide holistic services needed by victims, while training police ranks.
2 pieces of legislation I would like to mention because they are directly related to the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. The first is the Family Violence Act, which I took to Parliament last year. We are currently implementing that piece of legislation. That has involved a number of programs to train those who have to implement, and also to create public awareness so that the population out there understands that this is an that hitherto was not there. And it's very much a groundbreaking piece of legislation because for the first time, it combines to answer to violence out there, both criminal and civil remedies. I think that is so needed in the country today, where we are seeing an upsurge of cases of violence, especially those that I would like to term femicide. Last year, I was very cautious in saying we had a 33% reduction in cases of domestic violence. Very cautious, because I saw at the beginning of the year, we had an upsurge in these cases. Now, people will also look at us and say, with all of the systems that you are putting in place, including reporting systems, you are seeing more reports. It does not necessarily mean there are that many more cases, but it could mean that there was under-reporting before because these things were not in place. And so directly coming out of the Family Violence Act, we are moving to the Sexual Offences Act of 2010, which is currently being reviewed with the hope that it will go on the floors this year. And there are key elements within this piece of legislation, one of which speaks to the sex offenders registry. So I think it is us as a government, us as a team within the government, really ensuring we get to the nitty-gritty of what needs to be put in place legislatively so that we can have the response through the long arm of the law so that justice can always be meted out to those who act in contravention of our laws of Guyana. These Hope and Justice Centers is to provide under one roof all the services required by anyone who experiences violence of any kind. And so from the time a person walks in, they are greeted and they are able to make a police report in an environment very different to a police station. But at the same time as I'm saying that, our police stations are undergoing transformation. There are rooms specially dedicated to that in the police station, and the Ministry of Human Services would have trained 50% of the Guyana police force to deal with cases. And currently, we're embarking on a very, very powerful program where we are going to police station by police station and training the officers at every level on the Family Violence Act and the Child Protection Act of 2009.
With 30 booths on exhibition and another 90 exhibits from faculties and departments within the University of Guyana, the annual Open Day and Job Fair at the university got underway on Friday. The event is held for Guyanese seeking career opportunities and for students to learn about such opportunities. It is also intended to help with the labor shortage in the country.
The University of Guyana is hosting a two-day career fair right here at the Torkine campus. The career fair is being held from Friday, March 7th to Saturday, March 8th. The newsroom spoke with several students who attended the open fair from schools across the country.
The fair is good. Go around. It's very educational. You get to learn stuff from each booth. Yeah, and it's fun.
I'm here just to get a better understanding of the field that I want to go into, which is engineering, either civil or mechanical engineering. And to me, it's very interesting, very informative.
I'm here today to gain knowledge on how I can choose my different career paths and the different opportunities that present itself, and it has been really good so far.
Vice Chancellor Professor Paloma Mohamed Martin delivered remarks at the opening ceremony on Friday.
As you know, Guyana is really one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and really we cannot keep enough people, we cannot produce enough people in the university to fill the needs of local companies in certain disciplines, that is. And so we give them an opportunity not only to work with our students who are here, who are looking for jobs.
We also spoke with representatives from the Guyana Defense Force, Janiquip, Eldorado Offshore, and the Bihari Group about the opportunities that they have, especially for young people.
What we realize also is much of Guyana is not aware of how much career of the amount of career opportunity available in the Guyana Defense Force, and there are a lot. If we look specifically at what we're looking for is the civil engineer, the mechanical engineer, the marine engineer, the aeronautical engineer. And what I like to say that is beautiful about what we do in the Guyana Defense Force is that not only you come and train and be a part of what is happening in Guyana within the Guyana Defense Force, but also if you're interested in further education after, the opportunity to do that is also available in GDF.
We're just here today to share with the general public and the students what are some of the opportunities we have working offshore and some of the programs we're also offering to the public. So we have a number of opportunities that are too many to list right now, but persons that are interested could either visit our website at eldoradooffshore.com or they can meet with us in person. We have the auto job fair at the National Park on the 15th, so they can come in there and meet with us in person and they can ask their questions and we'll be able to have advice.
We're representing the Bihari group of companies and it's actually a huge group. There are a number of companies that make up the group. So we're really here for young people to get a sense of who we are, the different companies that make up our group, because there are myriads of opportunities in all kinds of different fields. We're talking car companies, banks, manufacturing. So it's a chance for people to get to know us and of course to share their information with us in the event there are specific opportunities in the future.
We're here to showcase the careers that we have within our company. We sell heavy equipment to the agriculture, mining, quarrying, material handling and power generation sectors. Within those sectors we have various careers. For example, we have 3 levels of mechanics, 3 levels of technicians, and finally product support for the individual brands that we have such as Komatsu, John Deere, Suzuki Marine and Bomac. We also have various careers within the health and safety department. We know that in Guyana we're in the culture shift and adapting to some best practices within the industry. Hence there are a lot of opportunities within the health and safety sector.
Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Padua.
Still to come, government will soon commence distribution of the one-off grant for newborn babies. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Vice President Dr. Jagdeo on Thursday confirmed that the government will soon commence the distribution of the one-off $100,000 cash grant for newborn babies. He made the announcement on Thursday at his weekly press conference. He said it is a matter he has been engaging the President, Dr. Irfan Ali, on. Once that distribution starts, Jagdeo said the government will try to distribute the grant in real time or soon after the baby is born. The distribution will also be retroactive, so all grants will be distributed to the families of all babies born since January 1st, 2025.
I think it should be done at the ministry's level. So wherever the child is born, all you do, get a birth certificate and go in. And we'll try to do it as quickly as possible because people may need that help in the first month, to buy things for the baby and stuff like that. So we should try to get it done quickly, like in real time after this period, right? Because the budget was passed even after people became eligible, because it was from 4th of January. So I'm going to press them to try to get it in real time. So like the baby is born the next day so the parents can get it because it would help them.
Now, with tweaks to the Bail Act on the way, the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandlal, said the legislation has brought uniformity and consistency in the granting of bail. Speaking at a closeout workshop for the Support for the Criminal Justice System program on Friday, Nandlal said that the legislation forms part of a slew of others which were recently introduced to reduce the growing population in prison and the proportion of inmates on pre-trial liberty.
In terms of legislation, well, you have heard many of the legislation that we have passed. The Bail Act, I'm told by the Chief Justice, we may have some tweaking to do, 1 or 2 tweaking of the Bail Act, but by and large, it has worked. It has brought uniformity and consistency in the grant of bail. Some people may not like it. Some people believe that it removed discretion from the magistrate. Well, greater the discretion, greater the likelihood of abuse. Stronger the regulatory framework, the more uniformity and consistency you will have. And we did not introduce a single new legal principle in the Bail Act as far as I can recall. What we did was simply codify the common law positions. We have put on paper in black and white what the magistrate should take into account. That is what the magistrate had to take into account in any event. But it was not stated anywhere. So we can now judicial officer to account with greater transparency. Then we have some fundamental pieces of legislation that will change the way criminal justice is administered and executed in the country. We have the pre-bargaining legislation. It's called the Pre-Bargaining and Pre-Agreement Act. And Madam Chief Justice, in the Act, as I've said before, there is a provision, Section 12, that mandates every court to inform the accused person of the option of plea bargaining. We put that, they don't have to act upon it, the accused don't have to take it up, or the prosecution doesn't have to pursue it, but we want them to know that it is an option that is available. I have said to the lawyers very clearly and very emphatically that we have to change, and I've said, and we all have to recognize the realities of the society in which we live. We come from a tradition where our people want their day in court. They want their lawyers to destroy the other side. They want to see the person against them be put in the witness box and be embarrassed and humiliated. We want our Shakespearean pound of flesh, so to speak. We come from that culture. That culture has to change.
Now, Vice President Dr. Jagdeo said Venezuela is in a weak position, making infantile statements, but affirmed that Guyana remains relentless in its engagement with the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, and its international partners. Jagdeo spoke about Venezuela's recent actions that have escalated tensions with Guyana and threatened peace in the region at his weekly press conference on Thursday. According to the Vice President, Venezuela has breached a December 2023 ICJ ruling and the Argyle Declaration with its recent actions and a plan to hold elections for Guyana's Essequibo region, which it claims.
So our positions are known. We will pursue this at the ICJ. It's contrary to the provisional rulings of the ICJ. We will continue with all of our partners. We have strong support from the United States State Department. We have it from the UK government, the French government, everyone. They believe, and more importantly from CARICOM, all of our neighbors, that it's not only a breach of that agreement, not the ruling of the ICJ, but the Argyle Agreement. So Venezuela is in a weak position. And the infantile rant by several top officials in Venezuela by calling President Ali Zelensky, I think it's somehow in their warped framework of analysis. They think if they were to do that, that somehow it may change the U.S. long-standing support for Guyana on the border issue. It's such an infantile, a childlike, a baby-like rant from some of their top officials.
When the newsroom returns, the financial weather and bridge reports along with sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting us off with some cricket news. Tagenarine Chandapal and Kevlon Anderson stroked fifthers as Guyana Harpy Eagles declared their second innings and set Jamaica Scorpions a massive target of 487 to win the fourth round match of the West Indies 4-Day Championship at Sabina Park on Friday. Chandapal played a patient hand of 7-4 off 172 balls to anchor the innings before Anderson followed it up with his first innings century, that should be, with a fluent 50 not out of 85 balls. Tevin Imlak made a patient 31 and Kemal Savory an unbeaten 25 as the Harpy Eagles declared on 192 for 3. This was after Ronaldo Ali Mohammed with 6 wickets and Niall Smith with 4 brushed aside Scorpions for 44 in response to Harpy Eagles' first innings score of 339.
Gets it fine again this time. This one will run close to the ropes again, but he will come back for 2, and that will be 50 for Tagenarine Chandapal. It's been a good knock coming back. He's shown some form in the tournament, but he needs to convert. He needs to make them bigger. He has a good chance to do that now.
Yes, fantastic knock from the left-hander from Unity. Again, looking good, but now is the time you want him to carry on. And even
that should be 50 as well for Kevlon Anderson to follow up his 100 from the first inning. 50 of 84 deliveries signals his appreciation, and I think that is actually the declaration as the fielders are walking off. 191 for 3 Guyana Harpy Eagles. You called it, Sean Devers. As soon as Kevlon Anderson got to 50, the declaration has come. And it's a tall task for the Jamaica Scorpions to accomplish this. But Guyana Harpy Eagles, they lead by 486 runs.
Now, the president of the Essequibo Cricket Board, Dilip Singh, has highlighted a concerted effort by the board to develop youth cricket by investing strategically in age group divisions. Since taking over the helm of cricket in the county, Singh and his executives have sought the services of more trained coaches, work to enhance facilities, collaborate with the Guyana Cricket Board to establish academies, and tap into resource personnel. The result has been constant improvement by all teams participating in the inter-county competitions with thus far. Just recently, the under-15 boys rebounded from a first-round defeat to finish second overall and ahead of 2024 champions Demerara. In an exclusive interview with the Newsroom recently, Singh spoke of the strides made in lifting age group cricket in Essequibo.
But pertaining to youth cricket in Essequibo, myself and the board, we come together and have a program where we'll develop youth cricket. And behind all of that, when I initially became president of the board, I pushed for more coaches as one. We were happy to have GCB and Cricket West Indies come on board to train coaches so we can have coaches fan out in all the area committees. So in all the area committees, we have trained coaches, at least level 1. We have a couple level 2. Because when I went into office, it was hard for me to get 2 coaches to work with the Essequibo Cricket Board. So I knew that was problem number 1 I had to solve. Facilities is another thing. But I visualized that there had to be more than that. And we came up, myself and the president and the board came up with academy idea. And we pushed it. The academy, now, to me, that contributed more significantly. Young players, both male and female, from 7 to 17. And you can see the strides we've been making over the past 3 years. Is every single year we have been improving. All right? Now, the academy program first reflected in under 13. We're now the champions 2 consecutive years under 13. All right, that feed out of the academy. That alone tells you, the academy players are doing well and the academy is working. And now some of those under 13 players fed into the under 15. There's some of them are still under 13 and they're playing under 15. All right? So you see the quality of cricket that is coming out of a young. But let me say the talent is there. The talent is there, and we have to identify. And lucky for me, I have some experienced person in my organization, my junior selector chair, Mr. Dennis Joseph, you know, national player, and also Mr. Norman Fredericks. He's also, and these are people that gives me, you know, the courage and advices how to go about all of this.
Meanwhile, President of the Berbice Cricket Board, Dr. Cecil Bihari, has heaped praises on the Berbice Under-15 team for winning the Guyana Cricket Board's inter-county 50-over competition, which concluded last weekend. Berbice played unbeaten in their 3 games, beating Essequibo, the Select 11, and 2024 champions Demerara, to walk away deserving champions. Led by Richard Ramdial, the ancient county lads were clinical in their performances, especially with the ball, and Dr. Bihari expressed great satisfaction with the overall outcome. The competition was used by the Guyana Cricket Board to select the national under-15 team for the regional tournament in Antigua in April. Dr. Bihari also hailed a move by the Guyana Board to establish more academies in the county.
We're very pleased in Berbice that our under-15 could have done that. We knew they had it in them, and the management team, along with the players, they did a very good job, and we're very pleased with their performance. Now, as it relates to cricket development in Berbice, we're working very hard with the coaches and the players themselves. And we're going to have those cricket academies that the Guyana Cricket Board will fund, and we hope that will spur the players to even greater heights.
Now, the Ministry of Education has announced a significant overhaul of its National Schools Athletics Championship, with the new format debuting at the National Secondary School Track and Field Championship from March 11th to the 13th at the National Track and Field facility. The revamped event, designed to showcase the nation's finest young talents, will see only the top athletes from each school district qualifying to compete. Nicholas Fraser, head of the Allied Arts Unit, explained that the changes aim to align the championship with international standards, with a particular focus on preparing athletes for the Carifta Games. The emphasis is on quality over quantity, ensuring that only the best of the best participates.
What we had planned to do was to have the first place from each of those competitions in each event automatically qualify for nationals. So once you win your race, you're going to nationals. We also want to ensure that we have the best athletes going to nationals. We have aligned the events to Carifta. So we are sort of modeling the competition to be a precursor or a selection for the Carifta Games. So we've made some changes to the age groups, and we've also included all of the events except the hurdling events and the pole vaults. So we know that we have to do some work in those areas so that we can improve in those areas. We've also added some events which are younger than the age groups at Carifta, because of course we need to prepare athletes. So you'll expect to see some changes in the events. You'll expect to see some differences in the age groups. And you will also see that we will continue to use the districts as the major organizers for these schools. So the schools will come traveling as a district, but when they compete, they will be getting points in both ways. So results that you'll get at the end of the championships. One set which will group the schools, and we'll have a district champion. And we do have a trophy which is being sponsored by banks for that. And we'll have, for the first time, a national schools champion. So a champion school will be crowned. At the National Schools Championship, we will have the grade 7, a new category called grade 7. So grade 7 will be doing combined events. Each participant has to do all 4 events in the age group. And so we'll have the top scoring child from each district will be participating in all events. So that's grade 7. We have a separate category called the under-15. And the under-15 will model the under-17 and under-19. So they will have individual events as well as relay events. So the individual events would include track and field. And those would be modeled off of the Carifta events as well.
Football news now. The 7th season of the Guyana Football Federation's Elite League is set to begin this Sunday at the GFF's National Training Center at Providence. Akeem Green previews the first night.
The opening day will feature a clash between newcomers mainstay Gold Stars FC and Ants Groves FC at 18:30. An opening ceremony will occur at 20:15 and then a highly anticipated clash between title contenders Slingers FC and Mohameds FC at 21 hours. The training center has undergone upgrades to improve the spectator comfort. While the GFF has not yet announced a title sponsor or prize money for this season, last year's champions, the Guyana Defence Force, received $2 million Guyana. GDF have won the title on 3 occasions, while Slingers FC once in the inaugural year and for the Conquerors twice being the other champion. The other competing teams this season are the Guyana Police Force, Western Tigers, Santos, and Den Amstel. Season 6 saw GDF retain the title with 50 points, followed by Slingers FC closely with 46 points, and the Guyana Police Force with 34 points. Season 7 will see an increased focus on youth and women's development, with the clubs required to participate in the Under-17 girls and boys competition, as well as the Women's Division 1 League. These competitions are mandatory for clubs to secure a CONCACAF club license, which is essential for participation in regional and international tournaments.
And finally, U.S. car giant General Motors has had its Formula One entry for the 2026 season formally approved. It will name the new team after its luxury Cadillac brand. The decision to approve GM's bid comes just over 2 months after the company reached an agreement in principle with F1 to enter the sport next year. F1 had previously rejected a bid from the U.S. team Andretti, which was linked to Cadillac. But the greater commitment of GM in a new proposal put forward later in the year has convinced F1 to admit Cadillac. A joint statement from F1 and motorsports governing body, the FIA, said Cadillac's bid had been approved following the completion of their respective sporting technical and commercial assessments. The entry will be run by the U.S. organization TWG in a revisioning of the initial bid. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Do have a great weekend. See you back here on Monday.